Going to do the gearbox today. On the left hand side is the parts of the gearbox that came out of the bike originally, and on the right hand side is spares I've accumulated over the years. Most of these parts came from one guy who restored a D14 years ago. This one's got the faulty lay shaft, so this gear's broken here. So I've got this one. I've got no idea what the condition's like, but the only thing I can really try is assemble it and see if the gearbox works or not. I'm hoping it's going to be alright. It looks alright. I'll be using this guide I found from the internet. If I can remember where the link is, I'll post it on the description. So it seems pretty detailed how to reassemble the gearbox. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, first step is to add this spring and indent for the changing mechanism. So put this in first, and then the ball. Then put this shaft in for the sliding of the changing mechanism with the circlip at the bottom. Next, insert the main shaft. I may need to drive that in with a mallet. Next is this gear here for the lay shaft. Next is the lay shaft sliding gear, and according to the guide it's the 21 teeth. There's two versions that look pretty much identical. So this one's 21 teeth and the other one that goes on here is 22 teeth. But I'll confirm that in the manual as well, just to make sure. So according to the picture, I line it up like this with this selector, or this piece of metal here, and the selector indents there. So we'll see if it works. So that goes in here and slightly off center, so the bolt holes aren't lining up at the moment. Right, next is this selector fork, so I'll put a little bit of grease on the roller here, and this is for the lay shaft. So I've seated the selector fork in like that on the lay shaft. Next is to put the actual lay shaft in. And finally for the gears is this main shaft cog here. Right, next says to roll it into neutral, so this bit here is what we're looking at, is currently sitting like that, and the ball is located here, and it says to move it into neutral, so I'm just going to rotate it so it reaches neutral now. So that's fourth, I believe, third, second, and now it's in neutral. Next is to put tabs. I've got some new tabs on here, so put the bolt, bolt the selector down, and use these tab washers to stop the stop the bolts from actually moving. So I'll just bend these up to stop them moving. It's supposed to be a quarter, according to the spanners, it fits, so British standard quarter size bolt. Okay, that's the selector tightened down. The tab washers that stop these bolts moving are nowhere near as good as the originals. I don't want to reuse these originals because they look like they've been bent quite a few times, but these aftermarket ones aren't that much chop either. I don't want to play with them too much because I'm frightened they're going to just snap. But they're hard against the bolts now and tabbed down here, so the bolt shouldn't turn, hopefully. Next is the selector, so I just got to make sure this slots in like that. So all I need to do is slide, there's a spacer here as well. And that's correctly located, the spring just on here. Now I've come into an issue with this gearbox assembly. I wanted to check if the gearbox worked and all four gears actually selected. So I wanted to put the two crankcase halves together and then select all four gears. But this bush is too tight, so this is the blind bush on the left hand side. If I try and fit the bush, let's see if we get this to a right angle. It won't fit, it won't go all the way in. So the bush is way too tight. So I either need to find out if this bush is the correct bush or is made to the wrong tolerances, or I need to ream it. So it's a little bit of research now. I really should have checked this before I pushed the bush in, but I just forgot to do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll update you on the next video.